Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Lucore Automotive. Today we are tackling a little bit of an odd project. This is an AMC 304. Specifically, this is the AMC 304 that came out of my 1979 AMC AMX. It sat for I don't know how many years, basically as you see it now. Valve covers were on it, but no intake on it, exposed ports, not pretty. But if you've paid attention to the AMC AMX build, the new 304 that we put in it was huffed. Piston rings are stuck, among a few other things. So that motor needs to come out, and we're still debating on whether or not we're going to rebuild a 304 and put it back in it, keep it as it came from the factory, or if we're going to stick a bigger 360 in it. I don't know. We still haven't figured that out yet. But I had this sitting over there in the corner, so I figured why not tear this thing down, see how bad it really is on the inside having sat open for so long, and is it something that makes sense to do like a little fresh rebuild on, you know, maybe a cheap get it running kind of build, and then maybe go 360 later on down the line, just so that I'm not shelling out another couple $1,000 out of 360 build right now. I don't know, we'll see. So, interested? Tearing down a 304 that's been sitting outside for forever to see exactly what's going on. If so, follow along. So a little bit of backstory. If you are not familiar with this, I purchased back in June of last year a 1979 AMC Spirit AMX. It was originally a 304 4-speed car, and this is the original motor that was inside that car. As I said in the intro, it was left open to the environment. There was no intake manifold on it, no nothing. So it's probably going to be really gross on the inside. The purchase did also come with a 304 that had been a run when pulled motor. So we stuck that in the car and got it all ready to rock and roll and hopefully take a road trip, only to discover that it was not ready to rock and roll. So, as I said, we're not entirely sure what the solution is going to be here. Part of me wants to build a pretty nasty, happy 304, but being really honest with ourselves, the 304 is not what AMC did best, and sinking any money into building a 304 maybe isn't the smartest idea when I can basically spend the same money, or sometimes even less, building a 360. But nevertheless, I wanted to get this thing off the floor and see just how bad it is, if this thing is salvageable, if it makes sense to keep it, or do I just toss it in the recycling bin outside. So I'm going to start tearing this thing apart, and we're going to see what the state of everything is that I have. If any of it is salvageable, if it's buildable, then I'm going to try to talk myself into either one way or the other. So stick around, I'm going to tear this thing apart. Fuel pump, gross, not going to need it anyway, recycle that. So far so good. Water pump actually didn't look terrible. Obviously not going to reuse it, but seems like everything else so far has been okay. Keep tearing it down. Oh, and by the way, check those out. Lights on my fingertips. Really, really useful when you're trying to get to see something instead of having to hold a flashlight and do the, yeah, how about that? Very useful. Actually, the distributor drive gear doesn't look too bad. Scuzzy, but not bad, not bad. Ooh, inside though, Those terminals look terrible. You won't be able to see that, but trust me, they're covered in corrosion. So, not going to use that. Well, it turns over. Now, many of you may ask, why in the world am I doing this with hand tools and not using power tools, which we clearly have in here? Well, the answer is because I want to, because I like using hand tools. Typically speaking, if a bolt's going to break, you can usually feel it better through a hand tool. And what I don't want to do is break a bolt. Now, yes, this 304 is not worth anything, but generally speaking, no matter what the motor is, I always do it with hand tools, not with power tools, because I want to be able to feel that tension and I want to know when it's going to break or when it's going to break. Makes sense? Brake pulley's off. Actually looks pretty good, honestly. Toss that in the washer. That's actually in pretty good shape. Mating surface is good. None of the pulley grooves are really destroyed at all. My little light hammering didn't do any damage. Just scuffed it up a little bit, but we're gonna paint it anyway. Crank pulley's in good shape. Ooh, yeah, that's not good. So, yeah. Each one of these lifters is disgusting. Not a big surprise there. There's stuff down in the intake ports. Yeah, it's gross. It's real gross. Not surprising. So I'll pull off all the rockers, which actually are nice and strong. They're all nice and tight. So pull off all the rockers, pull the rockers off, pull the push rods out, pull the lifters out, pull the heads off. Push rods are still straight. That could be worse. Ew. Yeah, so clearly you could see the corrosion all over these things. Some of these rods are not bad. These are off the front of the motor. Pretty much okay, other than just the tip. As we get to the rear, they're just literally disgusting. Solid corrosion, but whatever. Not going to reuse these anyway. But none of them are bent. None of them are broken, and that's good. Yeah, those smell bad. Now this one is covered in oil. This one's dry. Third one's dry. Fourth one's covered in stuff. Fifth one's covered in oil. That's why you gotta be careful. Oh yeah. That looks terrible. Oh yeah. Looks terrible. So it's definitely got MLS gaskets on it. Hang on. There you go. So, all that stuff is oil and water and God only knows what. None of the valves honestly seem to be damaged at all. So I guess that's good. That is just, ooh. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff floating in that. And this is, yeah, that's just not good. Oil pass, or coolant passages just corroded with junk. There is technically coolant in this. There's green coolant I can see down in the coolant passages, but yeah, gross. Okay, time to get the other head off. Oh yeah, that one actually comes off. Okay, so that's disgusting. Ew. So, head-wise, valves look okay. Nothing seems to be bent or broken. MLS gasket on this side as well. Definitely seems cleaner over here. More oil, oddly. The coolant passages still have the same kind of thing over here. But I'm guessing at some point in time somebody probably had these heads off. I don't know. You tell me. Did these come with an MLS gasket? Or did they come with I don't know. But at least the heads don't look terribly terrible. That's a good sign. Now my rotating assembly is going to be next. There's a lifter. There's another lifter. So lifter wise, definitely got some wear circles on them, but they're actually not totally crazy. Obviously the interiors of them are disgusting, but not terrible. Okay, while we let all the junk drain out of the bottom end, let's take the oil pan off and see what we got going on there on the greasy day. I am planning on reusing this oil pan if I reuse this motor, so I don't want to bend it, but gotta break that thing loose. Give it a little tap, tap, tap-a-roo with a screwdriver. And looks like we're coming off. Okay. Bottom end moment of truth. How disgusting does this look on the inside? Oh. So that's oil. Oil's really slippery usually. I can ride high into oil. And the stuff that's down in the bottom of the pan is way worse. So the pickup screen is in that. Yeah. That's disgusting. I would say we've probably not been maintaining this motor very well, whoever was driving it before, because the oil definitely is not oil, it's more of a tar. Yeah. So I'm gonna guess maybe somebody put head gaskets on this thing. Somebody's done freeze-out plugs in the not terribly distant past, because the freeze-out plugs are held in with looks like red RTV. Yeah, so I'm gonna guess I'm the first person in the bottom end, because this is disgusting. And this side, which would be the driver's side, is covered in... Ugh. Let me give you a closer shot here. So this is the front. So this would be the driver's side of the motor. If you look here, this stuff is, I mean, it's like freaking molasses. So this side is definitely rough shape. Passenger side actually looks pretty clean, to be honest. Oil pickup, obviously I've cleaned that screen off a bit. You saw how that one was. Yeah. These are clearly somewhat new. Somebody's put freeze-out plugs in it. I'm gonna guess this thing probably blew a head gasket at some point in time in the past, and somebody put head gaskets on it. Well, so far, I'm not 100% scared of what I'm seeing. I knew I was gonna get something bad because it'd been sitting out in the environment for so long. But we're not to the really scary part yet. So, the oil pickup, oil pump, fuel pump, all the ancillary stuff, I'm not going to use that anyway. You can do whatever you want on a budget build, but I'm not going to reuse that stuff. I don't care. I'm going to replace it all. It's going to have a brand new oil pickup, a brand new oil pump, brand new fuel pump, brand new all the things that can go wrong that are easily replaceable, that are only a couple of bucks. Absolutely, I'm going to replace those. Yeah, it's a couple $100 in extra stuff that I may or may not need, but I'm not going to chance to build or rebuild on just a couple $100 bucks. It's just not worth my money. So nothing I'm seeing so far has scared me completely to the point where I don't want to do this. But we're not done yet. Not by a long shot. So I need to pull the main caps off and pull the oil pickup off, start getting these rods out of here, and then we'll see what happens. I'm getting all kinds of mixed signals from this motor. I didn't think anybody did in the bottom end, but these bearings are in really good shape, or at least the front one is. It's got some scoring on it, but nothing real serious. Well, bolts go back in, main cap goes over here, keep them in order. Up close button, ho! So, bearings are actually not unbelievably destroyed. They're still on the silver stuff. You can see there's definitely been wear on them, but altogether not terrible. There's definitely some scuffing on the crankshaft, but I'm not seeing anything real dangerous at all here. I think this crankshaft is completely reusable. From what I'm seeing so far, I don't think we got nearly as much to worry about as I originally had thought we were going to have, which is very, very good news. Awesome. Alright, now we're getting into some gross. So rod bearings, definitely not in great shape. Again, same situation, keep these rod bearings oriented the way they're supposed to go. These are not stamped with what they go to. So make sure you keep rod cap to rod cap and in the same orientation that it came out in. So I'm going to do this in time lapse because there's a lot to do. Yeah. One of the side, I'm guessing maybe one side of this motor was, I don't know. Maybe it was stored weird and all the oil went to one side. I don't know. We'll clean these things off. See what we got when we get there. Gross. That's gross. All right. I did the boring stuff off camera. Got the crank pulley pulled off, or the harmonic balancer pulled off, front cover pulled off, oil filter housing unit, blah, 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 blah. So, timing set. It's a double roller timing chain. It's actually in reasonably good shape. There was a little bit of slack in the chain, but not a lot. One thing we did notice as we were spinning the crank around is there is a crank stamp on this front counterweight that says 10-10. So this may be denoting that this crank has already been turned 10 under. And if that's the case, that would make sense as to why these bearings are not necessarily all bad, because they've been replaced. So if that's the case, it's very possible that this thing was put back together again in the not too distant past. And I may be in good shape. We may be able to just polish this thing and see what's going on. Otherwise, we're going to have to turn the crank again, which is not a big deal. You can do that. You can get 20 under bearings. None of this we're going to know until we get the crank out and we get everything mic'd and checked. But interesting little note that this is stamped 10-010-010. So my guess is somebody's probably already turned this crank. If that's the case, it is what it is. We may have to turn it again. We'll mic it. We'll see what's going on. But time to pull the cam out, see where we are with that. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. All right. Camshaft is out. Woohoo! We'll give this thing a little bit of cleaning and we'll take a look at it, see how it is. I don't see any stamps on it denoting aftermarket camshaft, but we'll see. So at this point, all the other lifters have fallen out of the block. They're now sitting in my stew of disgusting. The only thing I got left is pull the crank out. And then it's going to be time to put all this stuff in the hot tank in the shower, clean it all off, and see what's what. Yeah. Come on. Now I'm guessing that maybe, man, these bearings do not look that bad. Hang on, let me get you guys closer shots of this. Hang on. For as bad as the oil was, these main bearings actually look reasonably decent. Yeah, there's definitely signs of scuffing and wear, but they're not nearly as bad as I was really expecting, especially after seeing the oil pan and what's in that. So overall, not bad. Most of the lifters have fallen out of the block. There are a few back here in the back that are a bit stuck. So we're going to nudge those out with a hammer. And yeah. I don't know, mixed bag. Some good, some bad. We'll see. So that's where we are at this point. 304 AMC 1979. Who knows? That's the beauty of buying used cars with a who knows what history, is you never really know what's been done, what you're going to find when you get in there. Some good, some bad. We'll see. I'm still honestly a little torn as far as what I want to do. If I want to put this 304 back in that car and run it as a 304, which is how it was originally built, or if I want to toss a 360 in it and get a little wild, who knows. If the materials that are in this say The crank's fine, the pistons and rods are okay, just need to be reconditioned. You know, maybe I can get away with a budget build on this and put it back together again for $1,000, $2,000. That would be okay, because I know myself, and if I start building a motor, it's gonna get expensive. Speaking of that, very soon we're gonna be having, actually we're filming now, an episode about how much does it really cost to build a motor. I mean, like really build a motor. Not crazy build a motor, but actually build a motor. So we're actually going to be going through piece by piece on 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder V8, what the general costs are on a lot of that stuff, because a lot of people honestly have absolutely no idea, and then they get stuck in it and they end up running out of money. So that's coming up in an episode soon. If you are interested in this AMC 304 project, my 1979 AMC AMX, there's an entire playlist on this channel for it. I'll link it here in the after bit as well. Pretty cool little car. I'm really excited about it. Unfortunately, the extra motor that I put in it is huffed, which is why I tore this apart. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm going to go clean up and put this thing in the hot tank for about 2 or 3 days and see if it cleans up, and then we'll see what we got. That'll be a future episode. Thanks very much for watching. Please do drop a comment in the comment section below. As always, please do click on that subscribe button. We appreciate new subscribers and appreciate all of you who are already here. And click on that like button, let YouTube know that you're actually paying attention to what we do. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this teardown process. I am disgusting. I need a shower. That's how it goes when you tear down old scuzzy engines. We'll see you on the next one.